Name of Allah, the most merciful and the most beneficent. Students, we are doing chapter number 19, behavior, and today we are going to talk about the second lecture of the learning behavior, that is classical conditioning or conditioned reflex type 2. Classical conditioning or reflex type 2 is also known as trial and error learning or operant learning. It is a type of learning in which an animal learns a response to a particular stimulus after many unsuccessful tries. This is called trial and error learning or operant conditioning. For this purpose, rats were used in a specially designed box which was called Skinner box, named on the scientist's name B.F. Skinner, who was an American psychologist. He studied conditioning in rats by placing them in a specially designed box which was fitted with different experimental devices. In this experiment, the rat would explore the box, running this way and that. So, there was a lever that was designed in this specially designed Skinner box. There was a food pallet, dispenser tube, the lights, and different things were there in the Skinner box. The rat would accidentally press a lever which was ignored previously, and a pallet of food would appear. But as soon as the rat learned to press the lever to obtain the food, the animal learns by chance. That is trial. So, this type of learning has been named trial and error learning. The rat was enclosed in the box. He was moving here and there in search of food, and he accidentally pressed the lever, which appeared a food pallet in front of rat. But in the next time, the rat would learn to press the lever to get his food. This is called trial and error learning. In the diagram, you can see the Skinner box, the lever, the food pallet, and different things. So it will become more clear to you now. Second type of learning behavior is latent learning. It was proposed by an American psychologist, K.L. Lashley, who used a maze and different rats were put in those mazes. According to this learning technique, an animal learns a response for a particular stimulus in its routine life without having any punishment or reward. But sometimes, when the animal is particularly exposed to that stimulus, the animal suddenly responds it by quickly recalling his previous experience. This is called latent learning. You can see there is a diagram of a maze. A rat was put in the maze and he started exploring the maze in order to find the exit. You can see there is a starting point and there is an exit point always. So eventually the rat found the way to exit, but it also learned the location of food in the maze. The rat was not hungry at that time, so it did not pay attention to the food. Then the same rat again put in the maze when it felt hungry. So, because of its previous experience and by recalling its previous experience, he found out the food quickly than a rat that has been put without previously exploratory experience. This is very interesting and it is very easy and you have to learn it and memorize it. Then comes the insight learning. It is the high form of learning and is more complex because it requires that an animal must respond correctly in the first place or in the first attempt to a particular situation it has never met before. So animals who are capable of insight learning seems to practice a sort of mental trial and error process, analyzing the possibilities for the solution of a problem before setting out to tackle it. Wolfgang Kohler was a German psychologist who firstly proposed the insight learning. He performed extensive experiments on chimpanzees in 1920. Kohler showed that animals must perceive relationship and manipulate concepts in its mind to solve a problem just like the human beings. A chimpanzee was placed in the Kohler cage containing several boxes and out of reach hung bananas. He wanted to get the bananas, but that were out of his reach. So he did mental trial and error and thought to stack the boxes or pile up the boxes one over another so that it could climb on them to reach the bananas. No past experience was involved, but the chimpanzee was only able to think out of the fact that putting the boxes on top of each other would provide a means for reaching the bananas. So he used insight to solve the problem. The chimpanzee's idea was that added height and would allow him to reach to the bananas. You can see in this diagram, in the first picture, the chimpanzee wanted to have some bananas which are hung on the rooftop, but it was out of his reach. So he took the boxes which were placed in the cage, piled them up one by one, added height, and then he got the bananas. So this was a high form of learning and it is a complex one as well. Now you need to know the difference between insight and trial and error learning. Both types are in contrast to one another, but both involves experience. Insight learning enables the animal to path other than randomly try several approaches. Means there was a path made in his mind to get the bananas. In fact, this learning is common only among higher animals like primates, humans, apes, monkeys, and in some other mammals and few birds as well. So, this was all about today's lecture. Thank you so much.